Breaking news tonight. Here it is. Senator Claire McCaskill of Missouri announced tonight that she will vote nay, on the Brett Kavanaugh nomination. For more, I'm joined by Phil Rucker, Washington Post White House bureau chief, and Janae Nelson, Associate Director Counsel at the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. Janae, you're going to be first here. I want to go with you on this. Where do you see this case running now? Suppose we go through Monday night. There's no testimony from the accuser, no other witnesses called. The Republicans on that committee who control the timing and schedule say, hey, you know what? We're going to make this guy Supreme Court justice, like it or not. Where does that take us in terms of our justice system?
Oh, it takes us to a very troubling place. You know, we have been framing this all wrong from the start. It seems as if this is a battle between Dr. Ford and Brett Kavanaugh, and really what is at stake here is the integrity of the Supreme Court, and who's responsible for ensuring it is our Senate and the Senate Judiciary Committee as a threshold matter. There are so many questions swirling around Judge Kavanaugh and his credibility and his suitability for a lifetime appointment on the Supreme Court. We are deeply troubled, obviously, by these allegations of sexual assault, very credible allegations that deserve not just a hearing, but an investigation to precede that hearing so that the hearing is informed by the best information, by the right witnesses, by the right questions, by a thorough vetting of these circumstances. And so for the Senate to move forward on Monday without Dr. Ford's testimony, without having engaged in a full FBI investigation, which if Donald Trump was very serious about this, would call for immediately, this shortchanges the American public on one of the most significant posts in this country.
Let me go to Phil on this. What do you make of the hearings right now? It looks like she's still, as the accuser, Dr. Ford is still calling for a thorough bipartisan investigation. But it seems like she's focusing now on who else is testifying on Monday. Like she might agree to come if this guy, Mark Judge, shows up, the guy who was involved, according to her, in that incident, or this other person who remembers that the word was around at the time that it happened.
That's right. And the statement has shifted from demanding the FBI investigation before any hearing to saying that she wants this hearing to have more people, to have other witnesses. But they're still calling for the nonpartisan investigation. It doesn't explicitly say it has to be done by the FBI, but her lawyer wants that investigation. The FBI could investigate this issue if President Trump were to direct them to do so. But President Trump said today and said yesterday as well that he's not going to do that he thinks this needs to be handled by the Senate.
Well, this is going to happen. Something's going to happen. Either one side buckles or the other side buckles. It's a terrible game of
stalemate.
Yeah. It's about because one side is going to proceed and have a confirmation and to force all of its members, the Republican Party in the Senate, 51 members, to just stand up and say, without the testimony of this woman, this accuser, they're willing to go on board and say, yes, this guy should be on the court for life.
And
that's really putting the pressure on these guys.
Exactly. And it's politically risky for these Republican senators. If she doesn't agree to come to this hearing on Monday to move forward immediately for the vote, there could be a voter backlash in the midterm elections in November, especially with a lot of the suburban independent voters, a lot of suburban women who are fleeing the Republican Party to begin with because of disapproval of President Trump. It could potentially exacerbate that gender gap and damage Republican prospects.
Janae, talk about that in terms of just gender and women feeling that they've been disregarded as their testimony. Like, we don't really need to hear from you, lady. That's sort of the message, to be put it blunt. We can go on without you.
Yeah, and we've seen this before. We saw this with Anita Hill. Even when women are given the opportunity to tell their stories and to bring forward information and evidence, the way in which she was treated is exactly and precisely why Dr. Ford is making the requests that she's making to ensure that if there is a hearing, that it is properly conducted, that it's trauma sensitive, that there are the right protocols in place to ensure that she has a fair forum in which to raise these issues. We all remember the absolute mistreatment and abuse that Anita Hill suffered. And Dr. Ford did a courageous thing with that backdrop, still being willing to come forward and raise these issues. But I would be remiss if I did not remind everyone that we're not only dealing with these very serious allegations, we also have a very suspect record on civil rights that that Judge Kavanaugh has, and many other concerns about his credibility. So this is one larger story, and the Senate Senate should not deal with this simply as a political matter. This is a constitutional matter.
Well, Anita Hill, speaking to ABC News, urged the Senate Judiciary Committee to hold off on moving forward with the hearing scheduled for Monday. Let's listen to Anita Hill.
The hearing questions need to have a frame, and the investigation is the best frame for that. 6 days is not enough for the senators who probably know very little about these kinds of claims. It's not enough for them to inform themselves.
Phil, what's the president afraid of? Because he can ask the FBI to do all sorts of sometimes crazy things we've noticed lately, go after Hillary and whatever, emails, whatever. Why doesn't he just say, we'll give you a month to look at this?
It's a good question. He certainly can, and there could be a time when he decides to tell the FBI to do it, but he's not doing it now. He's taking direction from White House counsel Don McGahn and others in the White House, and he's letting the Senate control this process. He's letting Mitch McConnell, the Republican leader in the Senate, and Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, decide how this investigation, if they're going to do one, unfolds, and decide how these hearings unfold. And the president so far has been relatively mute, other than to defend Kavanaugh.
I can give a scenario for both of you that the Republicans will not like. They confirm Kavanaugh next Thursday. He becomes a lifetime member of the Supreme Court. He's in business on the court, deciding issues like Roe v. Wade and things like that. And come the Sunday night or the Monday night before the next election, the midterm elections, the accuser, Dr. Ford, appears on television and gives her full story to a reporter, to an anchor person, and it's deadly. It's deadly, and they're stuck with this confirmation. I don't think they're going to be very happy with that scenario. If I were the Republicans, I'd think 2 or 3 weeks ahead or even a month and a half ahead and know where you're putting yourself. Wherever you go, that's where you're going to be, and they're going to be in a very bad place with a nominee confirmed who shouldn't have been confirmed. Thank you very much, Philip Rucker. Thank you, Janae Nelson. It's great to have you both on.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.